These are the cannon guns, which were used by the British in bombarding one of the Kano city gates to penetrate into the interior in 1940. This is the jihad flag. But this is the Kano jihad flag. Sorry, we can see the Kano jihad flag. This is written, as you can see, so he doesn't get tired easily. And even in those, and this is the calabash lab, which each and every bride is being escorted to her room in those days for her leisure activities, because we are characterized with a polygamous home. This is what women play to express their minds. In those days, in a polygamous home, women doesn't come out to insult themselves verbally, but they use this to throw words against each other. And the children will before the royal court with a display of the twin spear, which is a symbol of kingship. You understand? Having a voice of my video clip attracts serious charges, honestly.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to SirVick TV, your home of infotainment. Welcome to Kano City, Northern Nigeria, West Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been in this city for quite a while now. We're still touring the city, and today I'm taking you to one spectacular place, and that is the Kano Museum, the Kano City Museum, which is rich in history, rich of history, you know, grammar, man. This place has a lot to see. Please join me and let's enjoy. So right now where we are driving actually is just next to the fence of the Emir's palace. The Emir is the leader of this city. The Emir is the king of this city. So this is the fence to his home that we're just driving across as we get close to the museum. So the museum is ideally just opposite the Emir's palace. If we are lucky, we might get to visit the palace. If we are unlucky, man, there is always next time. So yeah, let's get to enjoy this day. Let's get to have fun. And of course, this place is very secure because the neighborhood is just, you know, the King's Council and all those people that serve at the palace. So they are very, very secure, and the area is really, you know, very secure, and it looks very beautiful, as you can see the surrounding, ladies and gentlemen. So right there opposite there, what you see right now is the Emir's palace. That is what you see right there at a distance. So that's the Emir's palace, and right ahead is where we are going to. That is the museum area. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to SirVick TV, your home of infotainment. So today we are in the Kano Museum. This museum was actually established in the year 1440 AD. How many years are those since? Answer that question in the comment section. So join us as we get to tour this place. It's rich of history. It's rich in history. Let's enjoy it, and let's get to learn. Join us and enjoy. Please get to comment as we go through the journey, and let's know that you're with us as we get to ask questions here and there from our guide. Enjoy. Welcome.
Principal ethnographer by the dynasty here in the museum. I studied history.
Wow.
So this is the first gallery within the contents of the house. But before we go further, let me give you a brief history of this house, because this is a monumental museum.
Okay, thank you.
The history of it is one of the most important things in terms of disclosure. This house was constructed in 1440. You can see it over there.
I've seen
by one of the kings in Kano.
1440. Yes. 1440.
By one of the kings in Kano. His name is Abdullahi Burja.
In 1440.
Yeah. Abdullahi Burja constructed this house and assigned it to his grandson, making him the Makama Kano as of then. Makama is a significant title in the development of Kano monarchs. He is the senior counselor among the kingmakers. So when Abdullahi Burja died, Muhammad Rumfa becomes the king in 1463. When Muhammad Rumfa becomes the king in 1463, this house was the first Emir palace, where Muhammad Rumfa first resided and performed his administrative activity for 7 years.
Yeah, that is 1463 to 1470, yeah.
So in 1470, Muhammad Rumfa decided that there's a need for a permanent Emir palace in Kano. So he goes over there.
Oh, that's why the palace is just across the road.
Yeah. So it goes over there and constructed a 33-acre land, making it the permanent Emir palace today.
33 acres.
33.
Wow.
That is why.
So at that time there was a lot of free space.
Of course.
That yeah.
And you know, during that time, you know, Kano is the last quarter trans-Saharan trade route. Due to a lot of migrants coming, they get to give him advice that this house is too small for a king. So he now decided to go over there and constructed it at 3-acre land, making it the permanent Emir palace today. That is why the house is still referred to as Gidar Rumfa. Gidar means house, because Muhammad Rumfa constructed it.
So how old is that side?
So this house is 40 years older than that house. This was constructed 1440, and that other one was constructed 1470.
So the same palace that was constructed that time is the one that existing up to now?
Up to today.
Then the engineers of that time were really good.
It has been some parts. It's just some parts.
I understand, but still,
as we go further, I'll get to show you.
but still, it means that the engineers then were really good.
Of course, yes. Of course. Even the renovation is not everywhere that the renovation took place. There are still the ancient settlements of the house. It's still in existence up to today. Maybe after Gidam Makama, you would like to go there. Somebody will take you.
Yeah, that shows that technology really was.
So when Muhammad Rumfa moved to that house, this house still maintained its tone of nobility as Gidam Makama until 1903, when the British came and overtook Kano. When the British overtook Kano in 1903, this house was their first residence. This was where they first resided and performed their administrative activities for a while. As the British were leaving, they decided to divide the house into three. The first portion is right down there from afar. It was donated to the then elementary school boys, which is the present Gidam Makama Primary School today. The second portion, you can see it here from the outside, being constructed into modern building. It was donated to the same Makama home of nobility. And this particular third piece was donated to National Department of Antiquities until 1979, when it becomes the National Commissions for Museums and Monuments, where it becomes a fully and active museum in 1985. Is it interesting?
So the museum is just the 1/3
of course,
what used to be the...
Of course, it is just a 1/3 of the palace.
Okay.
So this is the first gallery. We have 11 galleries in display in this house. And this is the first gallery within the contents of the house that had a display of what we call Kano giant pots. One of the most significant in the development of Kano history, dated back to around 1093.
Wow.
They are as old as Kano city walls.
1093.
1093. The people of those days normally use these pots in storing grains. They now dig a deep hole and bury them beneath, so that even when war comes and they invade the town, they will still have some remnants of food to eat hidden. And you know, as we go further, I'll get to show you in the next gallery, Kano is like a fortress, surrounded with a city wall and 13 gates. In those days...
Oh, the gates are 13?
Of course.
Wow.
As we go further, I'll get to show you the sarcophagus. So
there is a lot of history to
learn.
learn.
Every gate as of then has a possession of 2 to 3 among these pots filled with water. Because during those days, there were no vehicles. The system of transportation were mostly animals, horses, camels, and donkeys. So that if you are coming into the town, you will find where to drink water from, and also your animals
will drink
more energy and keep.
Oh, yes.
And this is the Rahonia. It's an iron smelting pot. You know, Kano people are known from their very best blacksmith. Even the name Kano is derived from a blacksmith. That is why you see the display of what those people use in terms of their daily activities in those days. This is what they use in cooking iron. They cook it into liquid, they now release it through that pot hole. They shape it into various shapes depending on the material they want to produce. Unlike this particular 2 pots, which were excavated in 2015, and I headed a team for the excavation, they were neither used for the same purpose, but for the purpose of dyeing. They were excavated in an ancient industrial site in Kura local government, that is Yagagungume, because people of Kura local government are known from their very best dyings. The place is still there under the custody of National Museum Gidam Makama. Still an ancient site, but they have not existed more than 300 years today. They are not as old as these pots. You can see even their colors varies, the shape varies. So they are neither used for the same purpose. So we now move to the next gallery. These are the cannon guns, which were used by the British in bombarding one of the Kano city gates to penetrate into the interior in 1903. These were 2 guns, the short-range cannon gun.
And there is another one outside there,
As we go further, I'll get to show you the gate through which British entered Kano as well. that showcases the traditional architectural structure of its ancient kind. The building is like an automated system of building that becomes warm during the Hamatan period and becomes very favorable during the heat season. This is because thicker walls provide cold rooms. As we are coming from the outside, there's too much heat.
And you now feel very different in here. You think there's an AC.
Is still conducive.
You can think it's an
And
AC,
even the
yeah.
roofing is made in such a way that it does not conduct heat from the atmosphere to the interior. You can see the display of what we call the desert farm, which is called Azara in Hausa. After it, they will now lay the grass mat. After laying the grass mat, they will now lay sand. That is why you see these heavy pillars protecting the heavy weight from the atmosphere to the bottom. The pillars consist of no iron, but timbers.
I think if I can get someone to do this for me, it could be a very nice house.
I have a very comprehensive write-up that has to do with this. Maybe later I'll send it to you.
Wow.
These are the materials used in the construction of the house. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
This is the locust bean peel. The locust bean peel is used in plastering the exterior part of the walls, so that even when rain falls, it won't wash away the soil. Let me show you the texture of it. Come with me.
Now I'm hearing some history that I've never.
That you've never had.
This is how they apply the locust bean peel. It is used in plastering the exterior part of the walls, so that even when rain falls, it won't wash away the soil. But due to the lack of the content we have, we decided to use the modern inputs to preserve the house as well.
Okay.
Exactly?
Yes.
Because it will be very expensive for us to maintain. Just like the token you give outside, it is what we use in maintaining the entire galleries as well. If people will get into the museum without paying, we will not have enough money. It's just like a donation to the museum. We will not have enough money to have conserve this particular material, as you can see. And the combination of the animal skin, the locust bean powder, and the desert gum, which I call the bagalwa, is mixed together with the kasargini, that is the clay sand, to chop up the straw to make the sand sticky, then apply to the walls. And the laterite is a sedimentary rock that forms when there is moisture. Yeah. So that is what those people use in laying foundation, because beneath there is moisture. So it forms and makes the building stay firm a very long period of time without collapsing. And the red sand, it is used in plastering the interior part of the walls. And the kasi, you can see it here, is a highly concentrated alkaline gotten from the waste of the dye pit. It is used in sealing these utmost edges to avoid leakage.
Wow.
And behind you are the muds used in the construction of the house. They are conical in shape. We call them tubali in Hausa. The art of building using them is interlocking. You can see it there.
Wow.
And even the building
So
itself,
people knew, I mean, the interlocking technology was there since.
yeah. And even the building itself, as you can see, it is conical in shape, comprising of the heavy weight from the bottom and becomes shallow at the top. So here comes an interesting part.
And I'm amazed.
When you come over here, this is
Okay.
the circumference of the ancient Kano city military architectural structure, which was constructed in 1093 during the reign of Sarkin Kano Gijimas. It is surrounded with 13 gates, but turned out to become 15 due to modernization process. Although 85% of its ancient structure has been destroyed, but there are still some remnants of it standing up to today. If you are still interested, I'll still take you to the city wall for you to have a glance. You understand? Look at our location here. We have 3 monumental sites here. We have the National Museum Gidan Makama, we have the Kurmi Dye Pit, and we have the Emir, present Emir Palace. Then the city wall, as you can see it as well. It is a military architectural structure. Behind you is how it looks in its ancient structure. This is the interior part and the exterior part of the walls, with what we call the asheri or the observatory windows, through which people of those days stayed to fight with their bows. You understand? Protecting.
Oh, so they were using this iron smelting thing to make the arrows and the bows.
Kano are known from their very best blacksmith,
Wow.
so they have weapons. You can see these are the asheri windows. This is where you stay to fight. This is what they call the city wall ditch. You understand? It was from the ditch that they collect the sand to make up the walls. It's like 20 meters away from the walls, and it is filled up with alligators as of then, so that you won't have direct access to the walls.
Wow.
If you try to encroach, They'll definitely shoot you down, and when you fall inside the ditch, you serve as a meal to the alligators.
Wow. Strategy.
That's why-
So they had
that's
strategy
why-
since.
That's why within all the Kano gates, you must find this ditch. Something like
It
this.
is called Gwelelu in house.
Yes.
Wow.
By Unqually, you see this ditch and all those around.
It was from those ditch that they collect the sand to make up the wall. You understand? And this is the
Yeah, this place is
structure
really-
of
it's
Kofar
rich.
Nasarawa Gate. I'm sure you passed through it.
This is the over Nasarawa
Where
gate.
is
that we-
now?
The one that
It's not now.
the one that is now modernized.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
This is the Asian structure of it.
Yeah.
And this is the Asian structure of Kofar Kansakali, which still maintain its Asian structure up to today.
Yes, Kansakali, yes.
And this is the Asian structure of, I'm the one in charge of it.
Okay.
And this is the Asian structure of Kano ruling house, the present Emir Palace.
Okay.
How it looks
So
like
this is
the
how
Asian
it-
structure. Of course.
But still, it was nice even then.
Of course, this is the arsenal where weapons have been kept for wars. You understand? And this is the Asian structure of Kano Middle School. That is the present day Rufa College. Although it still maintains this Asian architectural structure, it is only the materials used in the construction that differs. And this somewhere in this house, which is Lugat's office. As we go further, I'll get to show you. And this is the Asian structure of Kano Central Mosque. And likewise, you can see the display of what we call Ajami form of writing, to show you that these people have their own way of expressing knowledge right before the advent of the Europeans.
Wow.
They use the Arabic content to prescribe Hausa. This is written Gidang Makama Kano.
So
It's
it
called-
means back in the day, still Arabic was known here.
Of course, of course. And the Arabic contents reached it in Kano in around 5th century.
Wow.
You understand? And this is how those people used to prescribe letters among themselves in those haditha. You can see this written Gidang Makama Kano. These were the roofing materials which we have discussed earlier. I think they are very much self-explanatory. Then I think we move to the next gallery. More stronger than this as it is today. So, and let me show you something that
1063
of course,
up to now.
up to now. 1093 up to now.
1093.
Yeah, this is Rafix. I told you earlier that Kano people are known from their very best blacksmith.
Wow.
This is part of their blacksmithing activities. And you know, this is a national museum, it has to reflect a national character. So you may not see the display of the entire 30 years. And as you look towards the gate, you can see various potholes that are bullets. To show you that the British have tried severally to penetrate into the gate, but it all proved abortive. But only through the walls of this gate, which were washed away by rainfall as of then. So they used those cannon guns outside, as you saw them, to destroy vis-a-vis of the walls in order to have access into Kano interior. So let's go. Architectural structure. Each gallery or room has its own independent architectural structure. So the contents of this gallery showcases the archaeological development of man from the Stone Age to the Iron Age. During this time, man was a wanderer. This is a global history, not Kano history.
Sure, yeah.
This is a global history. You know, man starts as a wanderer, moving from one place to the other in search of food. He uses these stones to strike against animals, ate from their flesh, and covered himself with their skin. And at the same time, he uses this stone to light fire. So on his way to hunting, he now finds seeds growing from the tree. He chews them and throws them on the floor. On his way back, he finds them germinating. That was when
Becoming
the issue of
trees.
farming now comes back. So when man gets to dig the floor to acquire these particular stones, he now came along what is called the present day ore. This is what you cook to make iron. These are bellows, which people of Kano use in lightning fire. Thank you very much. This is the Kano black ore. So man now discovers that when he cooks it into liquid, he shapes it into various shapes, and when it dries, it becomes more stronger than the stone. So with the discovery of farming and the development of iron, what will now emerge between human beings? They began to fight wars because everyone wants to expand and acquire more land. And this is the ancient way through which the people of Kano do worship from the Dale Hill in around 999 AD. Although during this time there were no...
The one you are telling me about.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Of course. Although visiting there has been restricted for a given period of time due to some chaos is happening.
Oh, so you can't visit there now?
No, we can. We can visit, but I think they will let me as a staff.
Oh,
You
okay.
understand? So this is the way through which the people of Kano do worship from the Dalai Hill in around 999 AD. Although during this time there were no written documents, but there are a lot of ethnographic and archaeological evidences that proves their existence. So the only thing that could give you a picture of historical realism is through these contemporary paintings. There exists a chief priest in those days whom they believe is their priest. He is called Barbushi. And they believe in a spirit called Sombrubra, whom they hardly see, but only through their chief priest Barbushi. So towards the end of every year, people gather within the hill to celebrate. While towards the end of the night, the day, Barbushi now goes into the thatch roof to spend the entire night, while people keep celebrating, waiting for him to arrive the next morning to prophesy to them what will happen within the week, the month, and of course the year. Until 1307, that is 1,300 years after, there exists the first king in Kano that becomes a Muslim. His name is King Kano.
So at this time, Islam had not come to Kano?
Haven't come.
Oh.
No, it's not that there are still some quasi-Islamic settlement within Kano. But the ruling system, the kingship, the administration was not Islam. Until 1307, during the reign of the first king in Kano to become a Muslim, who decided to destroy this Umburbra worship, as you can see, in order to purify Islam. But his actual motive is more of a political than religion.
So it wasn't religious. He wanted to control.
Thank you. But he hid behind religion to destroy these people in order to appear more beautiful. And this is the myth of the formation of the Hausa states, the Hausa Bakwe and the Banza Bakwe. And this is an extensive history of the entire Kano ruling houses, a family tree of the entire Kano ruling houses from the Habe dynasty up to the advent of the Fulanis in 1807. When I say the Habe dynasty, I mean the original Hausa people whom have been ruling Kano for more than 1,000 years before the Fulanis came to overthrow them, whom have been ruling Kano up to today.
So there is something I heard. I don't know whether it's proper to ask.
No, you can be silly.
Yeah, because I've been in Ilorin is not really in the south per se. So
Are you
Emir of Ilorin.
Ugandan?
No, I'm Kenyan. So the Emir of Ilorin is Fulani. So I was asking these people, how come a Fulani is in charge of Yorubas here?
I was once with your ambassador to Nigeria.
Yeah, because the population there is purely like 80% is Yoruba in Ilorin. So how come these Fulanis took over? And then I was told, the Emir of Sokoto is, I don't know, a cousin to this.
Don't worry, we go further. I'm going to tell you all this.
Yeah, so I'm now, when I hear now that they're in again here, I know,
the Fulanis invaded the entire Sokoto Caliphate in 1807, making it a single entity. There's a gallery that discloses the whole history of this. So as we go further, you get to learn more about
Sorry, I have a question. What differentiates the Banzambokwe and the...
That is why I told you it's a myth. I'm a historian, I don't go deep into myth. But since you are interested, I will tell you.
Okay.
Thank you.
But it's a myth. You understand? It's a myth. I'm a historian. I want you to mark this. This is a myth. You understand? There exists a prince called Abu Yazid from Baghdad, who emerged as a result of they conquered his land. Only him remained as a prince. So he moved towards Baghdad with thousands of his armies and moved down to the present-day Maiduguri through Aksum. When he resided in Maiduguri, he now met the king of Maiduguri as of then. That king now gave him his daughter for marriage. The daughter's name is Magira. So when he took her as a wife, overnight, the king learned that Abu Yazid is about to overthrow him and make Maiduguri his land. So when Abu Yazid heard of that the king as of then in Maiduguri is about to go against him, he now left overnight from there to Daura. When he resided Daura, don't forget, he has married a particular daughter in Maiduguri, Magira. As he came to Daura, he now met an old woman, Ayyan, during the night. He begged her for water so that he would drink and also feed his horse. She said she can't give him that water because they fetch water only once in a week from a particular well where a particular python is living. And that python is like a god to them. they worship that python. So he doesn't allow them to fetch water, unless if he can. He was brave to an extent that he moved to that well to fetch water. As he was drawing the water from the well, the python now gets to hook up what he's using to draw water. He now pulled off his sword and take off the python's head. He now put it in his bag. So the next morning, the queen of Daura, that is Daurama, was looking for the person that made this tremendous effort. Every man wants to show this bravery before her, telling her that he is the person that does this. Say, no, where is the evidence? No evidence. But only from that same Bayajita, where she gets to find an evidence of that particular head that belongs to that python. So when she saw that, she said, this is a very brave work. So I will decide to give you half of my land. He said, no, I don't want to take half of the land, but I want to marry you. When he took her for marriage, he gave birth to Hausabak. And the particular Magira gave birth to Banzabak. You can see the genesis.
But you said it's a myth.
It's a
so
myth. It's a myth.
we are not very sure.
It's a myth.
Okay.
You understand? But very interesting.
Sure, it is.
And this is the chronology of Kano emirs from British overrule to date. This was the emir whom the British met in 1903. They deposed him to Lokoja for rejecting indirectly. His name is Sarkin Kano Ali. They now installed his brother, Abbas. Abbas died in 1919. They now installed the other brother, Usman Abdullahi. He died in 1926. So mark you, these first three are brothers. They are all children of Abdullahi Majikarofi. So when Abdullahi died, then Abdullahi Bayero was installed. Abdullahi Bayero was the first son to Abbas. So when Abdullahi Bayero died, his first son, Muhammad Sanusi I, was installed. Muhammad Sanusi I was dethroned by Sardauna Ahmad Bello in 1963. Then Inua, who is a brother to Abdullahi and also a son to Abbas, was installed. He ruled for roughly 6 months and he died. Then Ado Bayero, who is a brother to Sanusi I and also a son to Abdullahi, now becomes the longest lasting surviving emir in Kano, who served for 51 years.
Wow.
He died in 2014. Then Muhammad Sanusi II now becomes the king, who is a former governor to the CBN. Muhammad Sanusi II is the grandson to Muhammad Sanusi I. Muhammad Sanusi II was dethroned by Governor Ganduje in 2020. Then Aminu Ado, who is the son to Ado Bayero, was installed. Is that clear?
Very, very clear.
Very clear.
And these are various countries. Human beings get to become very wise and become economically sustained how they come today. This is what we call the Angara. It is the leather bag. This is what the hunters use in collecting their meat. This is the decoy, which the hunters use in transforming themselves into various structures so that animals will not attack. Please, could you give me just 2 minutes? Being a Muslim, I have to listen to the azan before we come any harm that will come towards them. The Hausa people call it regalia, the ribaka. And over there is the chainmail used in fighting wars, very much resistant to sharp objects and daggers. Then the shield, the short knife, and the sword. And these are various shooting materials with the din gun, which we call shoot alone in the vernacular language, came as a result of the European advent, as you can see. This is very much self-explanatory.
Put it on pictures.
The history is rich.
This is a mannequin showing you how the emir presents himself before the royal court, with a display of the twin spear, which is a symbol of kingship in Kano. And the twin spear came to existence in around 1134 when twins came to rule Kano. The twins were Nawata and Gawata. Before then, the symbol of kingship in Kano was just a common spear. So when those twins came to rule Kano, each among them is in possession of one spear. So Nawata died and was succeeded by Gawata. Gawata decided to join the two spears in one place in order to acquire more victory. So when the Fulanis came and overthrew Kano, Sheikh Usman Danfodiyo now instructed that they should go to these people and collect this twin spear because it's the compilation of kingship in Kano. Because when you overthrow a king without having the seat of, without having the staff, it's as exact as you have not done anything. And this is still the replica of the twin spire. Then this is the kakanji. That is the royal trumpet, blown for the emir alone. And this is the staff of office.
So this is common across because I saw it in the other side.
Of course, but everyone has its own sound.
No, like I'm saying the
one in Ilorin does not have the same sound with the one in Kano.
Wow.
The one in Katsina does not have the same sound with the one in Kano. The one in Niger does not have the same sound with the one in Kano.
So that's how you differentiate them.
Yes,
Okay.
we from Kano we call all those ones pare. We don't call them kakachi. You understand? And this is the staff of office, which was given by the British to each and every traditional ruler in order to promote unity among nations. And this is the ostrich feather shoes, which is a symbol of kingship in Kano too. And one most interesting thing about the ostrich feather shoes is it is worn by the emir alone. And one most interesting thing about the ostrich feather shoes is that the ostriches are not being raised and brought up outside the palace. The ostriches are being raised and brought up within the palace. So whenever there is need for it, they will just collect the feathers and make use of the sandals. But the entire regalia here was used by the late emir of Kano, Ado Bayero. And this is the tambari. It is a royal drum, beaten for the emir alone. Though it's heavy, so you don't carry it along walking, they only carry it along on camels via the plate. And these are various royal musical instruments. The horn, the oboe, and the kwegi, that is the gong right. And here comes the display of the Graba activities. Kano people are known from their very best Graba. In those days,
I watched this.
Graba is not just a cultural activity as it used to be today. In those days, Durbar is a way through which the emir shows to the world how strong his military is, but turns out to become a cultural activity today. This is the riding boots. These are riding horses. So the whole exhibition here is nothing but to show you that these people have their own assertions. They have their own ways of doing things right before the advent of the Europeans. This is the royal turban, which is very much self-explanatory within the mannequin. Then the horse seat belt, which is used in tying saddles on the utmost part back of the horse. And these are various musical instruments with regards to communication. Each and every musical instrument here communicates, but you are so lucky. You understand? Having a voice of my video clip attracts serious charges, honestly.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Now, a question, please. Is there a way? I saw a lot of people during the Durbar festival dress this way. So, is it like? Does it mean all of them form part of the army, or is just culture that anybody can just dress that way?
Each and every dresser represents a home.
Or different families. Okay. Yeah, I saw
each and every dresser represents a home.
So, a given family that is part of the council.
The title that belongs to the family has its own type of regalia.
Yeah, I noticed something close, but I did not have the explanation.
You have it in brain, but it doesn't come to your mouth.
But I loved the festival. Actually.
Yeah. When did you visit it?
The festival, I think it was immediately after Ramadan.
That was the best festival. That was the best one.
I watched it.
These are various musical instruments with regards to communication. Each and every musical instrument here communicates, even without singing. This is the traditional violin. It is called the guji in Hausa. Then the traditional guitar, which is called the garaya in Hausa. Then we have the talking drum. Then the calabash lago. And this is a farming drum, using motivating farmers. In those days, everybody is said to be a farmer. It is after the farming, the rainy season, that everyone goes back to his own natural diet. Kano Mustafa left behind. Father Kano Mustafa was a secretary to Sunusi II. So when Sunusi was dethroned, they left together with him. But he decided to leave his legacy behind in Kano. This perfect regalia made from crocodile. This is called Tinjuma in Hausa. That is the horse belt, head belt. And this is the chest belt. It is called the Enkirji. You can see the various trappings. How do you see it? This is this. And this is this. And this is one of the most expensive saddles in the Niger Sudan. It is called the Siddi Dan Abzi. It is normally made from gold. But this one is not made from gold. It's made from bronze. Because you can't put gold to display here. They can be vulnerable.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
People will always.
the most boring in looking type of exhibition and the most intellectual part of an exhibition we have. Somebody might say this is just a granite, but the importance of it is to show you how the granite is being used in the development of present-day Nigeria. When Nigeria was discovered, there was no money to sustain the economy as a whole. But only the granite, through the granite, then Nigeria could be able to source money to build up its refineries and make up the present-day Nigeria. But Kano has been blessed as a commercial center to have assembled this granite in tones of pyramid. But it's not that the entire granite is being harvested in Kano, no. 70% of the granite being assembled in Kano is harvested within the northeastern part of the country and some part of the northwest. But Kano has been blessed as a commercial center to have assembled this granite in tones of pyramid. Each and every pyramid consists of 1,000 tones with a combination of 15,000 bags. It serves as a center of attraction, center of tourist attraction, even in those days. Though the market is no longer in existence, you can see various British exploitative railway lines. After moving the granite to the western part of the country, to the shores, they now put them on ships, take them to the west. After selling it, they now bring back the cash to Nigeria as money through Barclays Bank. So before the money could even come back to Nigeria, 60% of it is gone. So you can see how the extortion happens.
There's something I saw online. I don't know how true it is. That's actually the first time I saw those sacks, and they were saying the grandfather of Dangote,
Of course.
used to do this kind of business.
He was
groundnut
the one responsible to the monopoly. You know, during this time, there's a system of monopoly. It is called marketing boards. There is the granite marketing boards. When you have your granites, you can sell it direct to the Europeans. You have to sell it to that same monopoly, then you sell it to the Europeans.
So with you, they'll just give you peanuts.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just a token.
You're selling groundnuts and they'll give you peanuts.
They give you peanuts.
History.
These are various farming materials that represents national character, very much self-explanatory. And the contents of this gallery is the leisure activities of the Hausa and the Fulani tradition. This is the traditional wrestling of the Hausa people. It is called the Wasandambi, Wasan Kokawa sword. And this is the Wasandambi by the Hausa people. That's the traditional boxing. And this is the Wasan Sharu by the Fulani. And this is the hooping game by the Hausa little children. And this is the Wasan Chari by the Fulani. It is normally done after the harvest of millet. You understand? It's just like a coward game. They tie legs. When you tie your leg here, the other opponent will tie his legs. Because when you beat me harder, I can easily run away, but you can't catch me till I get rest and come back. You understand? That is why they tie the legs. It is called Wasanchari.
Wow. So that means this place has two major tribes. That's the Hausa and the Fulani.
Of course.
This state now.
Of course.
Wow.
But the Fulanis have already been lured into Hausa people by language. But so they know each other in terms of complexion.
And the way they carry their,
of course, even
they carry their machetes on their shoulder.
You hardly know the difference.
Yeah.
But we living within, we know the differences between us.
Oh, okay.
The Islamic activities of not just Kano but the entire Niger Sudan. There is no how you talk about Islam, talk about the people of Kano without relating them to Islam. These are the 5 pillars of Islam that makes you to be a Muslim. And this is the ancient way through which the people of Kano goes to Saudi Arabia by foot before plane starts flying.
So they used to go to Mecca by foot?
By foot. Using horses, camels, donkeys. Depending on the years you choose. As you go with faith. Selling things as you move. You understand? Till you reach your destination. Some might take like 10 years before they could even go and come back. And this is the Kiskal. It's an ancient form of land. It is called the Sangria in Hausa, the Kiskal. It's just like a reflection of the present day classroom. To show you that this is where people stay to acquire Arabic knowledge. After acquiring the knowledge, depending on the course they study, they will now be granted this as a certificate. It is called the Zayyana. After being granted this as a certificate, scholars from various Islamic sects. And this is the zodiac, which the people of those days used in prescribing their lunar calendar. And this is the tomb of Sheikh Usman Danfodio at Subari in Sokoto. Although it has been transformed into modern building today, and this is the map of the entire Wazuda. with the seat of caliphate at Sokoto, where the Sultan resides and performs the presidential function. While the rest 18 flag bearers are all governors, called the emirs or amirs, who perform a gubernatorial function. This is the jihad message given to each and every emir to wage a jihad in his own state. This is just like a certification certifying you to become an emir who is to hold a particular state. You can see the translation of it here by accent. And this is the jihad flag, but this is the Kano jihad flag. Sorry, you can see the Kano jihad flag. This is written, as you can see, Amir. When you go to Zaria, you find the same flag written Amir al-Zazzaw Hafizahullah. When you go to Ilorin, you find the same flag written Amir al-Ilorin Hafizahullah. That is how the flag goes in a uniform character. And this is one of the major chaoses that happens in Kano in the late 70s. His name is Muhammad Marwa Maitasini. He came all the way from Marwa, the present-day Cameroon, as an Islamic scholar. He came into Kano and later become a sorcerer, kill people and eat from the flesh of young babies. But he was caught and assassinated in 1980, while his wife and his daughter were spared. The present-day Boko Haram was still a genesis of his own foundation. I believe this interesting.
Yeah.
Hope it's not.
I mean, when you came last, did you learn as much as you've learned today?
I don't think so.
There's no anyone that would tell you, and although at that time it's during Salah, so the place is choked.
It's choked. Nobody could even carry you along because all the staff are there doing something.
Okay, now Abu Dhabi, is it some occasion is going to
Yeah, we
happen?
give premises for occasions.
Okay.
That is what we use in sustaining the house. You think it's easy to maintain such an old building?
It's not easy.
And this is what we call the debi. The traditional architectural structure in every home of a noble. This is where you get to find the debi. That is the stage where people come to agitate and say their mind, while the nobles remain within the stage
So they sit to just listen to what they
to
say.
listen to people's mind. This is what grew up and become the present day radios and television. Just like a reflection of the present day theater arts. We have two more galleries to cover. The next gallery we are going to have is called the British Gallery. It deals with the British expedition in Kano. And also serves as an office to Lord Lugard and the British when they overthrew Kano. And as you can see, this was when the British came to Kano during the reign of the Emir of Kano, Ali Baba, seeking for permission to penetrate into Kano interior for the purpose of trade. But they were totally rejected because they were seen as infidels. So they moved back to the coastal regions of Lokoja, where they began to recruit armies. They recruited 1,060 armies, among which were only 5 Europeans. They gave them training in a place called Mount Patti in Lokoja. After obtaining military training here, so how do you expect people with spears, daggers, to have defeated people with some machine guns? Is it possible?
Not possible.
These were the British celebrating their victory after taking over Kano. Then the then Emir of Kano, Ali Baba, whom they sent on exile to Lokoja, this was his first arrival before he could even step down off his horse. Then they decided to crown his brother somewhere around this house for the indirect rule system to take place. This is Lord Lugard.
So they were now in control of his brother.
Of course, you know, it's an indirect rule system. So when the Emir could not do what the British wanted, they will easily dethrone him and assign the one that will do what they want. And each and every king or Emir is afraid to lose his throne. And this is Lord Lugard. That is the British Governor General. This is Sasaga Umbel, the governor to the northern region.
He's the same
during
person
British
who was in charge of Kenya too.
Lord Lugard, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is the Lancaster House meeting in preparation towards Nigeria's independence. And this was the first visit by the British Queen Mother in January 1956. Yeah, look at her.
She
which she
young
has
then.
never returned. And this is the first president of Nigeria during the parliamentary system of government, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. And this is Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa,
First Prime Minister.
First Prime Minister of Nigeria.
But I will recommend to you 3 places to visit. Most interesting are 2. The Offer Mata Dai Pit, which has existed for more than 500 years today. Then the Dala Hill. These are the ancient settlement, the ancient places we have within the metropolitan. Unless one day, one time, when you have very full time, you get to visit other places that are far away from the town, which were ancient settlements as well. This is one of the doors in this house. Nupe people were known from their very best gardens. So the Nupe king as of then gave this door to Muhammad Rufa as a gift. It was decorated with silver and bronze. As the British were leaving, they took the original door, they now made a wooden replica and kept it behind. They took the original door to the British Museum.
The one that had gold.
Of course, made from they took it away. They now made a replica. Look at the replica here. It's even been destroyed, spoiled. They kept it behind. They took the original one to the British.
These people are very selfish.
Very selfish. But how can you do to a person that conquered you? He can take anything he feels like.
Sure.
Because I didn't think you were strong enough to defeat him. He wouldn't have taken anything. He can't be even lucky to go out alive. This is the last gallery of the contents of the house. They had a display of what we call the traditional bride's room. In those ancient times, no matter how rich a bride's parents are, no matter from the home of nobility she comes from, if she's given out for marriage, this is exactly how her room is going to look like. But it can be bigger than this. This is a rich bride's room. You can see the display of what we call the bamboo bed. The bamboo bed still serves as a remedy to backache up to today.
It actually works well.
Of course.
It's like the orthopedic mattresses.
It's still a, you can sit down and have a feel. Sit down, you to ease your spine. Just sit.
Yeah.
Sit and have a feel. How do you feel?
Feel it.
It eases spine well.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And when you see the emir sitting, do you know what makes the emir stays a very long period of time sitting, watching people? It is because the sitters are made from bamboo, so he doesn't get tired easily. And even in those days, women were not expected to stay at home doing nothing. So what they do is they spin.
Oh.
This is the process of spinning. After separating the grain from the cards, they now take it to the market and sell it to the looms. And the looms will now use it in producing textiles. And this is the lepe, just like a reflection of the present day boxes. You understand?
So they are kind of coolants.
Of course. No, this is the coolant. This is a box used in keeping clothes. It is called the lepe in Hausa. And this is the coolant used in keeping water. This is the tulu used in fetching water from the streams. And this is the zunguru used in making henna out of them. And this is the calabash ladu, which each and every bride is being escorted to her room in those days for her leisure activities. Because we are characterized with a polygamous home. This is what women play to express their minds. In those days, in a polygamous home, women doesn't come out to insult themselves verbally, but they use this to throw words against each other. And the children will keep rejoicing, thinking that their parents are playing music, not knowing that they are throwing words against one another. Very interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Indeed.
Very impressed. And this is what is called the tendum make, just like the present day gallons using keeping oil. Is an oil container, and this is the ravea used in keeping perishable goods, and this is the akushi, just like the present day food warmers. It keeps food a very long period of time without cooling.
So technology has been there since.
Of
It's just that we now think that
we were stagnated.
Yeah?
It's as exactly as telling you to go back to your mother's womb and be reborn again. Well, you have moved thousands of years ahead, hundreds of years forward. Then they will now move you back. I think here we come to the end of the exhibition.
Thank you
I'm
so
Muhammad
much.
Nasser by name. I
Thank you.
believe you enjoyed it.
We did.
Though I have not told you what it costs for the guide, but whatever you consider to be my worth, I really appreciate it.
Sure.
This is.
Let's go to the craft shop.
Okay.
Let's see if we can get something there. No, is it closed? No, it's open.
It's open. No, it's
The
open.
craft shop is open.
The craft shop doesn't close till 8.
Although, Mr. Victor, we can have the shot here.
Of course, there are a lot of places you can have pictures. You can have.
So at this point, guys, we learned that the king was actually leaving his palace for somewhere. We rushed out to at least, check out his motorcade, but we were very unlucky because the motorcade had already passed. So the only thing I could just do is zoom his home, man. So that is the palace right there, and there was no sense again, there was no reason to go there now that he had left the palace. So that's how we were unable to eventually not visit his palace as we had intended from the onset. And of course, what you can see there is the museum. That's how the museum looks like from outside, the flags and all that. I mean, it's a very nice, a very beautiful place. The mosque that is surrounding the place, that's just basically how the surrounding of the museum looks like. And at large, that is how the surrounding of the Emir's palace also looks like. So yeah, man, that's how the day went. So eventually we left the place, we left the museum, and there we are driving past the palace. We get to zoom a bit. There's traffic, so you can't, people are driving fast, so you can't stop to just zoom the palace and all that, because everyone else wants you to clear the road. They call it come out for road, so that they can equally move on and go to do their affairs. So that was it, man. But basically we enjoyed, and I request that you subscribe, comment, share. Let's grow the community. Road to 10k subscribers. Bye bye, and thanks for watching.